All right, hello, welcome to my religious life video blog. Now, previously, last Sunday, because we did part one of Palm Sunday when Jesus was riding on a donkey with a coat, and everybody's waving palm branches, says King of the Jews and all that stuff. But what about Thursday, last Thursday? Part two of this one. Here's my observation. For you. You might think it's so smart, but Jesus is ordering to wash people's feet, and Simon Peter says, "Are you going to wash my feet? Wash my feet?" And Jesus has the commands to do the foot washing and giving us a new commandment as far as we're concerned. So who knows can be civilized about this, because everything else can be civilized. Trust me about that as well. So because whatever happens to foot washing and all that, because Jesus is commanded to die on a cross, just like everybody else does. So here's my observation for you, according to John chapter 18, about the betrayal and the arrest of Jesus. And it says that you might have noticed by now, but who knows, we're civilized. It says that, you guessed it, after Jesus had spoken these whole words, he went out with his disciples across the Kidron Valley to a place where there's a garden which he knew, and his disciples entered. Now here's my observation for you. Judas Iscariot betrayed him, and also knew that the place and why, because Jesus has often met there with his disciples. So Judas Iscariot brought a huge detachment of soldiers together with police from the chief priests and the Pharisees. And here's why. Pharisees. Here's why. They came with lanterns and torches and weapons. And Jesus knows that what happens to him, and they came forward and asked them, "For whom are you looking for?" They answered, "Jesus of Nazareth." Jesus replied, said, "I am he." And Judas Iscariot tries to betray him. Just remember last Thursday. We did this part two of Monday, Thursday, according to John chapter 13, and everything else in between these things. Because who tried to betray him and was standing with them. That's right, standing with them when Jesus said to them, "I am he." Tried to step back and fell into the ground, and he asked for them, "For whom are you looking for?" And he said this 3 times. Jesus of Nazareth. He said it 3 times, Sounds like Lionel Richie and Commodores back in the 70s with 3 times a lady, as far as we're concerned. And as far as we're concerned, trust me about that as well. So, here's my observation for you. Try to step back to the ground, and it says, "I told you that I am he." This is what everybody this is what he says, looking for me. And why? Because these people are let them go. And this was a fulfilled to the word that he has spoken. He says, and here's what he says, "I did not lose a single one of those whom you gave me." Then just remember Simon Peter, the one who says back in back about Jesus' feet, washing it. his feet, and keep his lives. And that's why he drew a sword, and struck the high priest slave and cut it off his right ear. And the slave name is Malchus. And Jesus said to Peter, "Please, don't do that. Put back your sword. Put the sword back where it belongs." And it says, Am I not to drink from this cup that the Father given? So whatever happens to Jesus before the high priest, they arrested Jesus and Simon, Jesus and everything else, in between. But what about Simon Peter tries to deny Jesus? Simon Peter and another disciples try to follow Jesus, since this disciples was known by the high priest. And guess what? Here's my observation for you. Just remember just remember on Palm Sunday service at my church talks about, yes, that's right, Simon Peter. And this is what happens standing outside the gate. And that's why the other disciple, who was known to the high priest, and went out and spoke to the woman who guarded at the gate and brought Peter in. And the woman said to Peter, You're not also one of this man's disciples, are you? He said, I am not. So that's why the slaves has made a charcoal fire and all that. So what about the high priest questioned Jesus about his disciples? Well, everybody knows, tries to deny it and all that. And Peter denies it again before the cock crowed in the afternoon. And then Jesus said to Pilate, and he said, it says, what accusation do you bring against this man? And they answered, if this man were not a criminal, we would not have handed him over to you. And Pilate said to him, take him yourselves and judge him according to your law. And the Jews says, we are not permit to put anyone to death. So everyone knows that it was been fulfilled to what Jesus has said to indicate this kind of death, that he died. So the Pilate answered the question, are you the king of the Jews? And Jesus said, do you ask this on your own? And said this for the last time, are you the king of the Jews? And you said, I am a king. You say that I am a king. For this I was born, and for this I came into the world to testify the truth. So that is why Jesus has sentenced him to death. Sentenced him to death, as far as we're concerned. And list goes on and on. But the burial thing has no objection whatsoever about Jesus and his death or rising to life again. Because you know why? The kingdom is not of this world. So this is what happens. The kingdom is not of this world, because rather than you saw in the news about Notre Dame Cathedral just burned down these domes. And as I heard this woman from pastor from First United Methodist Church at 72nd and Dodge, or should I say 72nd and Cass Street. This is what happens. You don't want to try this at home. Because you know why? Because kingdoms are not on this world, because they burn down the dome things and all that stuff, and it course, you heard this on the news just last Monday, and the people in Paris singing Ave Maria to Notre Dame Cathedral, and it happens all the time, because everything else can be civilized about John's passion narrative to prove that the text for work issues we will address a single verse, and that is important for what it does not to say, is for what it says. And Jesus says, according to John chapter 18 verse 36 says,
that noise my car makes.
He says,
Well, it's got worse.
my kingdom is not
So,
this world.
Worse, but the other day,
Not from this world. And if my kingdom were from this world, my servants, yes, would keep on fighting, and that's why being handed over to the Jews. But as it is, my kingdom is not from here.
It's 110.
But what on the positive side, you ask?
Not really for an all-season tire.
We find here a marvelous summary of the Passion. Of course, you see in the movie The Passion of the Christ back in the 90s. And also you see the Bible series last couple of summers on NBC, and it has something to do with the Passion.
Is the girls lying down?
And Jesus is trying to proclaiming that he is indeed a king, but not the son of a king yet, who is liable to be recognized by a willy political like Pontius Pilate. Pilate does. If Jesus must sacrifice himself for the life of the world, guess what? He will do so. And he will be indeed sacrificing himself, because his, kingship, which is both absolutely and absolutely giving. And it will eventually draw a sentence, a death sentence, from the powers that be. So here's my scenario for you, because we'll get ready to wrap things up. It is equally important to recognize what Jesus is not proclaiming, and he's not saying one word about the kingdom is an infallible and eternal religious experience that doesn't impinge on economic, political, or social issues inside the real world. And what the Holy Bible scriptures translated into, these things indicate that his kingdom is dead from another realm. Just like John 18, verse 36. And his rule, like he himself, originates from heaven. But, yes, he has come to earth. And his kingdom is a real kingdom inside the real world. It just sounds like Stephen Curtis Chapman's Heaven in the real world, or anything else civilized. Because here's my observation for you. If you ask, what have I told you? If real, then even Rome could ever be, and his kingdom comes to earth in a different setting of operating principles. It is, and guess what? It is powerful at work within the world, but it doesn't receive its marching orders from the present rulers of the world, and Jesus doesn't explain at the time being. And guess what? what it means for his kingdom to be, yes, in another world. In in the world, and he himself. Sounds like it sounds like God so loved the world, or whatever happens. You know what I'm talking about. But it reveals in a vivid terms later. It reported according to Revelation